Africa is a continent of breathtaking landscapes and extraordinary biodiversity, but beneath this beauty lies a deeper story, one that is shaping the future of our world. Africa holds immense reserves of minerals essential for our digital age and green technologies. These resources are both a promise and a peril. They could transform economies but also risk repeating cycles of exploitation. For centuries, outsiders have come for Africa's riches: gold, diamonds, oil. Today the prize is different, but the competition is just as fierce. China and Europe are the main players, each racing to secure the minerals needed for electric cars, wind turbines, and more. China arrived first, investing billions in infrastructure. Europe, once a colonial power, now returns with promises of partnership and sustainability. Yet, for many Africans, these promises often ring hollow amid daily struggles. This is not just a story of economics or geology, it's about people miners risking their lives, communities uprooted, and governments fighting for better deals. The competition plays out in Zambia's copper belt, Congo's cobalt mines, and Zimbabwe's lithium fields. The choices made today in Beijing, Brussels, and African capitals will decide if Africa's mineral wealth finally benefits its people or powers the ambitions of others. The stakes are high, and the world is watching. Africa stands at a crossroads, its future hanging in the balance. The world is shifting from fossil fuels to clean energy, and Africa is at the heart of this transformation. Electric vehicles, smartphones, and renewable energy all depend on minerals like cobalt and lithium, minerals Africa has in abundance. Cobalt, crucial for stable, long-lasting batteries, is mostly mined in the Democratic Republic of Congo, making the DRC a global linchpin. Lithium, the white gold of the green economy, is in soaring demand as electric cars go mainstream. Zimbabwe and Namibia are emerging as key suppliers. Controlling these minerals is as strategic now as controlling oil was a century ago. China and Europe are racing to secure deals and invest in African projects before the resources are locked up. Beyond cobalt and lithium, Africa holds untapped reserves of rare earth elements, vital for wind turbines, electric motors, and even military tech. As China dominates global rare earths, Europe and the US look to Africa for alternatives. Africa's geology makes it the new frontier in the global resource race. The continent's minerals are the building blocks of the future. The world's green revolution depends on Africa's ground. The question is, who will benefit from this new gold rush? The answer will shape the next century. For over 20 years, China has followed a simple but powerful formula in Africa: infrastructure for minerals. African nations needed roads, railways, and power plants. China needed raw materials. The deal was straightforward. Chinese companies build infrastructure and in return gain access to Africa's mines. In the DRC, China's deal of the century traded cobalt and copper rights for thousands of kilometers of roads and hundreds of schools and hospitals. In Zambia, Chinese investment revitalized copper mines and built airports, dams, and stadiums. This approach delivers visible results and political goodwill, making China a key economic partner. China's strategy is about more than construction. It's about building relationships and influence. By embedding itself in Africa's infrastructure, China secures long-term access to vital resources. The Belt and Road Initiative has made China's presence felt from Angola's oil fields to Guinea's bauxite mines. China's footprint in Africa is deep, strategic, and growing. China's infrastructure boom in Africa comes with serious hidden costs. Most projects are funded by loans, leaving African nations with mounting debt and fears of losing control over key assets. Critics warn of debt-trap diplomacy, where inability to repay could mean handing over ports or mines. Working conditions in Chinese-run mines are often harsh. Low wages, long hours, and safety concerns spark protests and resentment. Environmental damage is rampant. Mining leads to deforestation, polluted rivers, and devastated ecosystems. Local communities suffer most, losing farmland and clean water. Chinese projects often import their own workers and materials, limiting benefits for local economies. Profits frequently flow back to China, not into African development. The result, new infrastructure but little lasting prosperity for host countries. The promise of progress is too often overshadowed by exploitation and environmental harm. The true cost of China's grand plan is paid by Africa's people and land. Europe, facing China's dominance, is rethinking its approach to Africa. The new message: partnership, not dependency, investing in resources while upholding labor rights, environmental standards, and good governance. Europe's Global Gateway initiative promises ethical sourcing and transparent supply chains, appealing to both African leaders and European consumers. Recent EU deals with Namibia and the DRC aim to secure lithium and cobalt, but also support local processing and industry. The goal: keep more value in Africa, create skilled jobs, and foster real development. Yet, skepticism remains. Many Africans remember colonial exploitation and question Europe's true intentions. Europe's projects are still in early stages, lagging behind China's visible progress. The continent is watching. Will Europe's green promise deliver real benefits or just more empty words? The race is on to prove who can be a better partner for Africa's future. The outcome will shape the next era of global resource politics. China and Europe have different strategies in Africa, but the same goal: secure the minerals that power their economies. China moves fast, offering infrastructure with few conditions, building mines and roads that African leaders can see and use. Europe offers a slower, values-driven model, promising sustainability, good governance, and local industry development. China's speed and pragmatism have given it a head start. Europe's approach aims for deeper, long-term benefits. Both, however, focus on extraction, risking new forms of dependency. The real power remains in Beijing and Brussels, while Africa supplies the raw materials. For African nations, the challenge is to leverage this rivalry for better deals, without becoming pawns in a global game. The continent must play both sides to secure its own interests. The competition is fierce, but so is Africa's determination to shape its own destiny. The future will be decided not just by foreign powers, but by African choices. The stakes: who controls the minerals and who reaps the rewards. Africa's agency is more important than ever. The race for Africa's minerals comes at a steep price, paid by its people and environment. In the DRC, artisanal miners, including children, dig for cobalt in dangerous, toxic conditions for meager pay. The world's green revolution is built on their backs. Mining pollutes rivers, destroys forests, and poisons the air, devastating communities and wildlife. Displacement, social conflict, and corruption follow the mining boom, deepening poverty and inequality. The promise of wealth rarely reaches those who need it most. The shiny electric cars and smartphones of the world are linked to suffering and environmental ruin in Africa. Global talk of sustainability often ignores the harsh reality on the ground. The true cost of these minerals is measured in lost childhoods, poisoned land, and broken communities. The world must reckon with the human and environmental toll of its demand. Africa deserves better. African nations are no longer content to watch their wealth leave with little return. A new generation of leaders and citizens is demanding a fairer share and more control over resources. Countries like Zimbabwe and Namibia now require local processing of minerals, aiming to capture more value before export. The DRC is renegotiating mining contracts for better terms and higher state stakes. The African Union's mining vision urges countries to harmonize laws and negotiate as a bloc, boosting bargaining power. The goal: end the race to the bottom and ensure mining drives sustainable development. Resistance is strong from multinationals and foreign governments, but momentum is building. Tackling corruption and weak governance is essential for success. Africa's message is clear: the era of plundering is over. The continent is awake, united, and ready to claim its place in the global economy. The world must listen. The world's green transition depends on Africa's minerals, and the competition for them is reshaping the continent. China's infrastructure for minerals deals have brought progress and debt. Europe's promises of ethical partnership are still unproven. The central question: who will benefit from Africa's wealth, foreign powers, or Africa's people? The answer lies in African agency's strong governance, fair contracts, and investment in local industries. Moving up the value chain, processing and manufacturing, not just exporting raw materials, is key to real prosperity. The international community must demand transparency and fair labor practices in supply chains. The green future cannot be built on exploitation. True partnership is possible, one that benefits both Africa and the world. The challenge is to ensure Africa's wealth powers its own future. The time for change is now.